welcome to Crimepedia podcast. I am your host this week. My name is Cherry, and I hope you're having a great week so far. With me is my right-hand man, partner in crime. It's the lovely Morgan.
Hello, Cherry. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
So we have got a very nice review this week that I wanted to share with you. So I want to say a massive thank you to Crime Junkie Mum of Two. I love that. And she said, I'm giving you guys 5 stars. I love your show. I recently stumbled across it and I love it. The research is amazing and I love the delivery. Now it's time to binge listen all of your episodes. Keep up the good work. I can't wait to hear more. How nice is that? What a lovely review.
Very nice.
So thank you so much for that, Crime Junkie Mum of Two. Welcome to our podcast and we're glad you're enjoying it so far.
Absolutely. I also have 2 thank yous to give. I want to give a big thank you to Shannon and Haley for joining our Patreon. They're our 2 newest Patreon members.
Welcome to the club.
Welcome. And if you want to join them on Patreon, you can do so by visiting our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Crimepedia. And you can join us. And here in the next week? Next week we will be releasing our very first Crimepedia cold case.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a Patreon only podcast.
Yep. So it's going to be a case closed episode that's already been solved. And we're going to go through it from the beginning right through to the end because you told us you love to hear a solved one every now and then. So we thought we'd answer your wishes. And there we go. So that'll be next week. So yeah. So this week's case is a little bit like a case we have done before. So you remember the case we did, Peter Bergman, the man that was found washed up on the beach in Ireland.
Yes, I remember.
This is very, very similar. And I originally came across this and thought, oh my God, that's just like Peter Bergman. But this one is in Cornwall. So I thought that we could have a chat about this case and see what you all think. So this case is the body in the water. And it's the body on the beach, I think we call this one. The body on the beach. And is it murder? Is it accident? Or is it suicide?
Ooh, I'm excited.
Okay, let's go. At 2 p.m. on Tuesday, the 25th of February 2014, an off-duty police officer and his wife were walking along Perranporth beach in Cornwall at high tide. They found the body of a man washed up on the beach about 30 metres in front of the Watering Hole bar. The off-duty police officer said that he and his wife initially saw a shape at the water's edge and joked that it looked like a body. I didn't believe it was a body, I thought it was probably a couple of plastic containers, he said. His wife walked closer and shouted to her husband that actually it was a body. This is Crimepedia, and this is the body on the beach. Murder, suicide, or accident? Okay, Morgan, so the body was of an adult male, and he was found with his face down in the sand. He was naked, apart from wearing one trainer on his feet. Now, the incoming tide was washing up around the body, so the police officer decided that he would pull the body up out of the water and cover it over so that obviously it didn't upset passers-by. Now, he described that there was a small amount of blood in the seawater next to the man's head, and he noticed that there was a white telephone, like the headphones, like like on an iPhone, they have those white earphones.
Yes.
So he noticed it was like a headphone cord hanging down from somewhere in the man's sort of head down towards the sort of bottom of his body.
Okay.
So the officer called 999. They moved the body up the beach a little bit, and the beach was then closed off. The paramedics came, and the victim was declared deceased at the scene. And at 2:37, his body was removed and taken to the Royal Cornwall Hospital. Now, the police then conducted searches, and this is a massive search, all the way across the beach, from Holywell all the way to St Agnes, in an attempt to kind of find his clothes, find anything about him. And they found a rucksack. They found another trainer which matched the one on his feet. So they thought that, yes, that would be his. A navy jacket was also washed up on the beach. In one pocket of the navy jacket was a wet £10 note, and in the other was a wallet. Now, the wallet had £95 cash in it. No bank cards, no identification, nothing. Just this cash and a photo of a young boy. You know, like when kids in the winter, small kids wear those like all-in-one suits. You know, you put the, like the snow suit kind of thing.
Yes.
So
Yep.
the picture was like an old black and white photo. You could tell it was old, and it was of this small kid in this all-in-one like romper suit in a garden digging next to like a full-size fork and a full-size spade. So he looks like
Yeah.
really tiny next to them. There was nothing to identify who he was. There was no bank cards or anything, no mobile phone, anything like that. So police weren't initially able to identify the body. Now, officers worked with the Human Identification and Forensic Art Consultancy Service. And this absolutely fascinated me. I watched the video of how the woman does it. She basically would take a deceased person, and we know what happens to a body when it's been in water. We know what happens to a body when someone's passed away. And she rebuilds like the face using
Mhm.
the deceased person's face. She rebuilds it, so like for instance his eyes were closed when he was found, so she basically interprets what he may have looked like in life with his eyes open, and she produced this picture of this guy. Her name was Terry Blythe, and she's a forensic artist, and there's a video on YouTube if you want to go and find it of how she reconstructs the face, and it's just fascinating. So a week later, after the body was found, the police finally identified the body because they released her artist impression, and within an hour, the man's brother calls the police because he recognized his
What?
brother. I know, within an hour of releasing it, his brother phones the police and says, "That's my brother."
That's amazing.
And he said
Within an hour.
within an hour, and he says, and I've watched the video of him talking, he actually says the likeness was just uncanny. It was just definitely my brother. So
Wow.
detectives now have a formal identification. The man was called Alan, and his name was Alan Geel, and he was 64 years old. He was from Wadebridge, which is about 25 miles away from Perranporth, where his body was found. His brother confirmed that the photo that the police had found was actually Alan as a 2-year-old boy in the family garden.
Wow. Oh,
So he's got a
okay.
picture of
Wow.
himself in his wallet. So
Yeah.
Alan had spent quite a lot of time in Perranporth as a child and had a lot of fond memories of actually being there. His
Hmm.
post-mortem was carried out by a lady called Dr. Amanda Jeffrey. Now, she reports that when he was found, he had a pair of socks stuffed in his mouth. And wrapped around the socks was a headphone cord, like earphone cords. He
Yeah.
also had sustained significant injuries to his chest, his torso, his spine, his head, and his brain. And the sock was
Mm.
blocking the back of the throat with the headphones looped behind the sock. And she said that the sock was partly clenched between the teeth. Now, she says that she couldn't exclude the fact that he may have suffered the injuries whilst he was in the water. She did say that they were much more likely to have been sustained as a result of a fall from a height. Now, if you've ever been to Perranporth Beach, there are sand dunes. I've actually been there, and there are sand dunes they are quite high. I
Hmm.
don't remember. I might be wrong, but I don't remember any massive rocky outcrops, or I don't remember anything being like hugely towering over that I remember. To me, my memory, if it's right, was that it's quite duney, rather than huge
Uh-huh.
cliffs. It's a bit more sand dunes, and they are quite high, but not the kind of thing that you would throw yourself off of. So, are you looking at the map? You love
I'm
a
looking
bit
at
of
the
map.
map. Yeah, yeah.
I thought you
I
might be.
am.
So it's a nice sandy beach. It's a very nice beach on
It
the
is.
coast of Cornwall. It's a really, really nice beach. And
Uh,
there are
there
nudist areas on that beach.
Okay, so on just south of the beach, it looked
Yeah.
like there would be some more cliffy type
Yeah.
areas that you
Hmm.
possibly could,
Yeah.
and there's something called Cliff Road.
All right.
So, so maybe I mean that's possible.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I'm guessing it's like down towards the south a bit more, isn't it? The rocks where it was.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and also if you look up towards the north, up to where Holy Bell Bay is, just
Mhm.
up from Perranporth, that's also looks very rocky there as well. I don't think I went up that far. Yeah, that's where you can go
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
coasteering and stuff. So I would say that's probably about right. So yeah, so that's what she said. Now she also said that there was an unexplained wound on the palm of his hand, which resembled like a cut. Now she said that
Okay,
the injury could have been caused by a sharp object in the sea, but she couldn't rule out contact with a knife, although there were no other stab wounds on the body. Other
okay.
features were significantly supporting drowning. So his lungs were heavily waterclogged. Water could have easily gone behind the sock. And because it's just
Yeah.
a sock, so it could have easily gone behind the sock and got into his throat. Also, they did the toxicology report, and Alan was nearly twice the drink drive limit. So we don't know
Oh,
what, because if you do drink
yeah.
regularly, that might not be twice the drink drive limit, might not affect you so much as somebody who doesn't drink regularly, So she did conclude that Alan died as a result of drowning, in addition to the significant injuries that he had suffered. She said that the most likely scenario is that the injuries were caused by a fall from the height and then drowning occurred in the water. So she said he died partially as a result of head and chest injuries as well as the drowning process. She said it's possible that this represents a very unusual suicide, although I cannot exclude the possibility that another person was involved in his death. Now, of course, when this kind of thing happens, the rumour mill goes crazy. And because on Perranporth Beach there is an area that is a nudist beach, and one of the theories locally is that he died as a result of indulging in an act of autoeroticism, which means putting the sock in his mouth to kind of like heighten his senses. Some people will like strangle themselves a bit.
Yeah.
So parts of the dunes there are used as a nudist site, and apparently there is a place there where gay men go to have sex, although police have said that there's no evidence that Alan was gay at all.
Okay. Um, I don't know if you have any general ideas of like what part of the beach the nudist beach is,
Mm.
or where the men would meet up with other men. Do you,
Mm.
do you, do you have any indication of where on the beach that is? Would it be
Yeah,
would it be on the north side of the beach, south side of the beach? Because I think this is very important when
yeah.
we look into what happened to him.
I'm not
Because
actually
let's
sure, to be
say,
honest. I've been near the. I can't remember because it was a long time ago, but I've been to where the nudist bit was by accident, and we went there and then went,
yeah,
oh my god, that guy's got no clothes on. Oh my god, they've got no clothes on, and we were like, what? Because it doesn't actually say nudist beach or anything like that.
yeah, yeah.
It's just that we stumbled across the fact that there were loads of naked people, and then thought, maybe we ought to move
Okay,
down a bit. So I don't think it's like a specific cordoned off area, but I think it's just like a general place where they are allowed to go naked. I guess you could
okay,
Google it while I explain the next bit to you. You
okay,
can Google it and see if you can
sure.
find out where it is. Um, so Dr. Jeffrey also said that she couldn't rule out the possibility that the sock was used as sexual practice. Now, people when they do this was funny to start Googling, I tell you, autoerotic asphyxiation, people intentionally restrict the flow of oxygen to the brain, and this is obviously for sexual arousal. So I thought that that was people did that by tying stuff around their neck or like choking each other. I didn't realize they do it by stuffing stuff in their mouth to try and heighten. I didn't realize that
I've
that was
never
a
heard of
thing.
that. Yeah.
No, I didn't realize that was that. But the detectives did say that one of the detectives actually said that in his experience, it's not unusual for people that want to end their lives to put objects in their mouth to stop distressing sounds. They said that they do it to stop themselves from screaming. If they really mean to do it, that's how they do it. So they can't rule out suicide either.
That's I don't know. That sounds strange to me.
And me too. I'm not sure that I don't know. I don't think I've ever come across a case where somebody has committed suicide and stuck things in their mouth to stop them from making noise. But obviously I haven't researched cases like these detectives have. So maybe they do.
Okay. Just so we are aware, naturists use the northern part of the
There we
3 mile
go.
long beach. There we go.
Okay, up on the north. So, a blue Quicksilver rucksack and woolly hat was also found on the beach. Now, the rucksack was likely to have been Alan's because the police established that he had actually been purchased from a shop near Wadebridge, so in his hometown. So, they guessed that that was his. But it was really weird because the rucksack was like pretty empty. All it had in it was loose plasters, a pen, and a bag full of dog feces. But Alan didn't have a dog. That's strange to
What?
me. I know.
That is very strange.
That was all. I mean, I could understand if he had a dog and like literally just tied up the poop bag and put it in his bag so until he found a bin, but he didn't have a
Hmm.
dog. So that was strange to me that that would be in his bag.
That's very strange.
Mm. So, a 6-month investigation was launched into Alan's death, and police basically pieced together Alan's movements leading up to his death. Now, they couldn't find any individuals at all that Alan had a meaningful contact with in the last months of his life. So he was a bit of a recluse. He
Yeah.
was the investigating officer was a guy called Detective Inspector Steve Hamley. And he said that Alan's last known social interaction was around New Year 2014. So that's quite a
Mhm.
long time that he's not really had anything to do with anybody. That was the last person that Alan had had any social interaction with at all that they could find. And he wasn't working, but he wasn't claiming any benefits either. So he obviously had an income from somewhere, whether that was living on his savings or I don't know, cash in hand job. But as far as his family know, he wasn't working. Um, he made very few purchases looking through his records, bank details and stuff, other than the odd bottle of wine. That was literally mostly what he bought. Um, in the last few weeks of his life, this is strange. He had purchased a 10 kg weight training vest, okay, and two
Okay.
kilogram ankle weights from Amazon. Now, the police couldn't
Oh.
find them. They weren't in his home. They weren't on the beach. And nobody knows why Alan bought them because it wasn't like a fitness kind of guy. He wasn't really known to exercise at all. And that made me think, I wonder if he was thinking about suicide.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing because that sounds like a purchase that you would make if
Mm.
you want to sink.
Yes, exactly. But they couldn't, those have never been found. So I wonder whether maybe he's attempted this before and either panicked and ripped them off or changed his mind
Mm. Yeah.
and
Hmm.
maybe he's done it before. So the police they did a really, really good job. It's very thorough. They pieced together his last 24 hours. So I'm going to go through it with you so we can kind of get an understanding as to what he was thinking that day. So at 8:30 a.m., Alan switched on his desktop computer, and they can see that from the computer's hard drive or whatever. At 11:52, he was captured on CCTV walking past Bridge Tools on Gonvina Hill in Wadebridge. Now, his house is at St Giles, which is farther up the road. So he's left his house, walked down past this Bridge Tools. He was then seen on camera 18 minutes later withdrawing £100 in cash from the Barclays cash machine on Molesworth Street before entering a
Okay.
nearby co-op. Now, in the co-op, he spent £2.40 on a box of plasters and a newspaper. Now, we know that in that rucksack, there were plasters found in the rucksack.
For our American listeners, what the hell are plasters?
Oh, band-aids.
Thank you.
Sorry, yeah. So he bought band-aids, and that was what was found in the rucksack. Um,
Okay.
so then he returned home, and he carried out an internet search, but they didn't. The internet search was on bus routes. Now, the bus route search that he did was from Wadebridge, where he lives, to Truro, then
Okay.
Newquay to Truro, and then Wadebridge to Camelford. So all areas locally within where he lives. Now, there's a report at 12:50 that there were raised voices heard from his flat. Now, it's not clear whether the people were in the flat or whether he was on the phone, or that's all we know is just that it was raised voices. And at 4:41 p.m., Alan shut down his computer. And the police say that this was really out of character because with his computer records, his computer activity for the whole of the year, he didn't shut his computer down. He just kind of left it on all the time.
Okay.
So he didn't actually physically close it all down and turn it all off. I think they must be able to find that out from the hard drive, mustn't they? Because otherwise, how would you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So after this, so we were talking 4:41, he shut down his computer. 4 minutes later, he was spotted on CCTV again, outside Bridge Tools again, same place, heading to the centre of Wadebridge. Now, this time he was wearing a light blue raincoat, which has never been recovered. They've never found this light blue raincoat. And he was carrying
Okay.
the blue rucksack on his back. So they saw him with that rucksack that they found. He
Mhm.
caught the number 594 Western Greyhound bus, and this was from Wadebridge down to Truro. And he arrived there at 6:14. Now, CCTV cameras captured him spending the next 30 minutes wandering around Truro city centre on his own. Then they capture him walking towards public toilets. And at 10 to
Okay.
7 p.m., he caught another bus, which then arrived in Newquay at 8:16 p.m. Again, CCTV picked him up, walking around the town centre, along Bank Street towards Marcus Hill, and then up East Street. After returning to Newquay bus station, he then caught the 9:15 p.m. service to Perranporth. Now, Perranporth is where his body was found. At
Yeah.
10:27 p.m., he was seen for the final time on CCTV walking along Beach Road in Perranporth, close to the spot where his body was found. So they've
Okay.
got a good timeline of what he did that day. So, in the September of 2014, an inquest into Alan's death was held, and police had actually wound down all their inquiries by this point and had concluded that the death was unexplained. Because I don't really think that they can do it one way or the other yet. They can't rule out suicide, they can't rule out accidental death, and they can't
Yeah.
rule out the involvement of other people. So, it's possible that it could have been a murder.
Yeah. Okay. It's just so confusing. So I'm just kind of thinking about like his activities before
Yeah.
ending up in Perranporth, right?
Yeah.
And it seems to me like he's just kind of aimless a little bit.
Yeah. Just
Is
wandering
that how you look
around.
at it?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Because there's nothing specific that he did, which we're like,
No.
okay, this is why he'd be in Truro, or
Yeah.
this is what he's doing up in Newquay.
But I wonder, is there something that he was doing? Because, like when we did the Peter Bergman case, he was disposing
Hmm.
of his belongings, like in different
Yeah.
bins and stuff around town. I mean, I don't know whether there are breaks in the CCTV that, because they say at certain times they can see him doing certain things. So I wonder if there are times that he's not on the CCTV. Could he be doing stuff that is significant to this?
Yeah, it's true. And here's the other thing too. You said that his alcohol limit was 2 times the
Yeah.
legal limit, right?
The legal drink drive limit. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything to indicate that he had stopped into a bar or
Yeah.
he was
No.
drinking or anything like that.
No. So unless he was, but on the CCTV, he didn't appear to be like intoxicated. So he didn't appear to be so drunk and like, wandering around and, off his face kind of thing. So, I mean, he was 2 times over the limit, but we
Uh-huh.
don't see him buying any alcohol between when he leaves the house and when that evening.
I mean, I guess he could have had it in his bag,
That's what I was thinking. I wonder if he had
but
bought it
then
before.
yeah.
Because I mean,
So
it could be
maybe
anything, couldn't it? It could be vodka. It could be a small bottle. Drinking a small bottle of like spirit would
yeah.
put you over the limit, and you could easily carry that in a rucksack, and you wouldn't really see it.
Mhm.
So I was
It's
thinking the
true.
same. Perhaps he purchased it beforehand
Mhm.
and had
Okay.
it in his rucksack.
Unless I missed it. So he was seen on CCTV
Hmm.
in Truro in UK.
Yeah.
When he got to Perranporth, did he show up on any CCTV?
Yes. So that was the last time he
I'm
was
sorry.
seen on CCTV. He was just seen walking along Beach Road. That's it. That's
Along
all we've got.
Beach
So
Road.
he's just walking along Beach Road, which is obviously right by the beach, close to
Yeah.
where his body was found. So that's the last time that they actually see him. And then there's nothing more until he's found the following day. So we know that the following day he was found at like 2 he was found at like 2 p.m. So from that time in the evening, the last time he was seen on CCTV was like 10, let me just check it, 10:27 p.m. So we've got between 10:27 p.m. and then 2 p.m. the following day, there's nothing.
Okay.
And his body's washed up onto the beach. It's not it's obviously that, I mean, the most it's going to have been in the water is from, say he went in as soon as that CCTV footage was found. If he went into the water straight away, it would be from like nearly 10:30 the following night. If he went in straight away, it would be following until like
Mhm.
so 12 odd hours or more, just a few bit more than that.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so they Detective Inspector Hamley said that they weren't ruling out anything, but there were still unanswered questions more than 4 years at this point later. He said that he remained open minded because he couldn't rule out what had actually happened to him. But he says that he considers Alan's death as a result of a fall or an accident. But he says that he struggles to actually accept that as a realistic explanation. He thinks that there's because of the socks. I mean, they found that the socks were Alan's, so they were his own socks. Why the headphone cord was tied around the socks, I'm not sure.
That's so
That seems
strange.
strange to me. And so if this had just been that they found him on the beach, just washed up, okay. And they say that the clothes, they don't know exactly what he was wearing. So, I mean, would his trousers have been taken off in the water? It depends on what trousers he was wearing. Was he wearing shorts? Was he wearing trousers? We don't know because the last time he was on CCTV he was wearing trousers, but we've got a
Mhm.
big like 14-hour window of where he could have got changed. We just don't know.
Yeah.
So they believe that the detective Inspector Hamley says that a fall from rocks or a cliff or the coastal path could offer an explanation for the chest injuries and the signs of drowning that he's got, but he struggles to find an explanation, like we were saying, for the sock and the earphones lodged in his
That's
mouth.
yeah, that makes no sense.
No. So he said that he thinks the visit to Perranporth was unlikely to have been just a recreational visit because he Googled where he was going. It's strange that he didn't just go straight to Perranporth. It's strange that he went to the other towns first,
Yeah.
and was wandering around the town centre for like half an hour. And I'm wondering whether he was like biding his time for something. Was he just wandering around, spending the day doing different things, and then was planning to go to Perranporth for a specific reason? Which then I can understand why people thought it was like a sexual meetup.
Yeah.
But they didn't find his mobile phone. I believe he had a Nokia mobile phone. And as far as I could find, I couldn't find that they had found it anywhere. That was missing. And obviously we can rule out robbery as a motive because he had £95 in one pocket and a £10 note in the other pocket. So we
Yeah.
can rule that out but his bank card's never been found. And obviously we've seen him withdrawing money with his bank card, but they never found his bank card. They never found his phone. So
That's really
I mean, with
strange.
everything else that's in his wallet, I doubt the bank card just happened to come up out of his wallet and float away into the sea, because all the money was still in
Mhm.
there and the photo was still in there. So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, just with what I know and what I
Mm,
see,
mm,
I the whole idea of him going out there for some sexual tryst makes no sense to me. Okay.
I agree.
The idea that, oh, maybe he was doing some uh
Oh, yeah, the autoerotic
the
asphyxiation.
autoerotic asphyxiation makes no sense because
No.
knowing that the naturist or whatever are on the north
Mm,
side of the beach, he was not anywhere near there.
no.
He was obviously on the south side of the beach,
Yeah.
which also makes sense when you real think about where he was found. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's found in front of the watering hole, right?
Yeah, in front of the pub, yeah.
So if he was, and then I while you were kind of going over this, I was looking up water currents
Mhm.
of the area,
Yeah.
and the water currents go actually south to north.
Okay.
So I think he would have absolutely have been on. He would have went into water somewhere off of Cliff Road,
Yeah.
and then with the tide being brought in and
Mhm.
ending up where he was found by the watering hole.
I think that's a great yeah. I think that's a great idea how it is. I knew you'd be good with the whole tidal stuff.
Yeah. Now the question is how did he get into the water? Of course.
Yeah. And so, well, I mean, they've said the detective Inspector Hamley said that they had considered if Alan had taken his own life because he left no note, no indication that this was a plan of his. But they do say that his movements that day were really out of character. He didn't do that kind of thing. He didn't sort of
Mhm.
wander off for the day and go around like this that anybody knew about. He said that they can't discount that Alan's death was suicide, but there are aspects that would tend to contradict it. The fact that personal items were missing doesn't really fit with suicide.
Mm.
He also said, then finally, I've considered if Alan's death was a result of homicide. And if this is the case, I can only assume that Alan's killer would have been a stranger to him because if he had been killed, the killer left no forensic link to him on any of the items recovered or on Alan's body. The killer has not drawn attention to themselves by being seen by witnesses. There's nothing on
Mhm.
CCTV to suggest that he met anybody. It's just him on his own in all these different places, going into the like
Yeah.
co-op, going in and getting bits and bobs. So and also, why would the person kill him? Robbery is not a motive because they already
Mm-mm.
had he had money on him. So somebody hasn't robbed him and killed him. And why would somebody stuff socks in his mouth and then push him off a cliff? So that
And
also.
it's not like the socks are like or something's tied to keep the socks in his mouth. Because if someone's gonna just stuff socks in your mouth like that, can't you just spit them out?
But also, he wasn't tied up. Exactly. So he wasn't tied up so that, because if you do push things into someone's throat and they can't get it out with their hands, they'll be
Yeah.
choking. But he was obviously breathing when he got into the water because
Bec-
lungs were waterclogged, like really waterclogged.
yeah.
So he drowned. It was a death by drowning, but his socks were still in his mouth. And why the headphones were wrapped around the socks and his teeth were clenched, they were clenched. I don't. So I mean, that's the thing. I can see it as a suicide. I get it. I can understand what they're saying, but why put the socks in his mouth? Okay, maybe to dull the noise of him shouting because he was going to jump off. Because people do, even if they are wanting to commit suicide, sometimes they do shout as they're falling. Um, so that's obviously one theory. Murder, I'm not sure that I see this as a murder. I'm wondering whether it's just
Yeah.
a tragic accident, you know? There's nobody seen with Alan. It's not like he meets up with people. But having said that, we do have like a 14-hour window where we have nothing at all.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so strange.
Mm. So Dr. Emma Carr-Lyon is the coroner, the senior coroner for Cornwall, and she returned an open conclusion at the inquest. She said, "I find it's not possible to exclude an intentional death, an accidental death, or the involvement of others." She says she
Hmm.
accepts the pathologist's evidence as to the cause of death. So the cause of death was drowning, with the
Drowning. Yeah.
added background of significant chest and head injuries. Now, following the conclusion of the investigation, in September 2014, Alan's friends and family scattered his ashes in the water off the coast at Polzeath. So they returned him back to the sea because he loved the beach so much. He was a keen surfer, and his friends joined in a paddle out to pay tribute to him. So I think it's
Oh,
quite
that's nice.
sad that his friends all got together after he was gone and and paid tribute to his life. But the conclusion still is an open verdict because they can't go either way as to whether it was
Yeah.
a murder, a suicide, or an accident.
um, I think it was suicide.
Do you?
I do.
Okay, why? That's interesting. Why are you pushed towards suicide more than anything else?
Okay, so besides the socks is a strange aspect to this
Mm,
case.
definitely.
If the socks weren't in his mouth, I think this would be without a doubt. They would be like, okay, suicide, right?
Hmm.
I think that the sense of him being aimless beforehand
Mm,
goes to that, right?
okay.
I just something about that, just aimlessly. It seems like he's aimlessly walking around. Seems like someone who's not in the right mind
Yeah, I understand.
to me,
Yeah.
right? The fact that he is going down to Perranporth late at night, right? What
Yeah.
time did they leave Newquay? With like,
The last time he was seen was 10:27 p.m. So he left New. I think it was like 9. I think he got into Perranporth at like 9:15. Yeah, Newquay bus station. He caught the
mhm.
9:15 service to Perranporth.
Okay, so of course this is February.
Yeah, that's quite cold.
People, yeah, people aren't going to the beach in February.
No, it's out of season.
Um,
No tourists. It would be quite quiet.
no
The beach.
tourists.
Yeah, it'd
It'd
be
be
quite
very
quiet.
quiet.
No nudists.
No nudists. I think he walked up Beach Road to Cliff Road,
Mm,
and just I think this is a case where the simplest answer or
mm,
explanation probably makes the most sense. Where there was something going on with him
mm,
that people weren't aware of, and he decided to take his own life.
mm,
That's what I think. I think
mm,
it's sad regardless,
mm,
and I think I don't know if this is a situation where I don't know. It just doesn't it doesn't make sense to it doesn't make sense that someone would just happen to randomly find this man by the beach, by the cliffs, and decide just to push him in.
No,
I don't
I
think it's an
agree.
accident. I don't think it's an accident because you don't once again, you don't go at 9:15 at night down to the beach just to, do whatever. I
Mm,
think he had a plan. I think the plan was for him to jump into the water. I
mm.
don't know about the socks is confusing.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
beats
that's
the
what
hell out of me.
yeah, that's what did that for me. I mean, I wondered whether they were right and that he put the socks in his mouth because it was nighttime. So he's jumped in the
Mhm.
water so nobody would see him because it's dark. So he wouldn't be seen. So maybe he put the socks in his mouth so that if he shouted, no one would hear it. Because if you were walking along the beach at night, and people do, I've been to the beach at night. Um, if you were
Mhm.
walking along the beach at night and you heard someone shout like they're falling, you would then go and get help to say, I heard someone like
Yeah.
shouting, I think someone fell, and then it's likely to be found quicker. So I wonder whether
Well,
that is why.
maybe.
But why were
I'm
the headphones
curious,
wrapped
like,
around it?
people that's true. My question would be like, I don't know what the statistics of
Mm.
this are, but if a person was gonna jump to their death, what's the are they gonna be screaming like that? I
I
mean, I guess
believe,
if they
yeah,
change their mind.
I believe that some that there. I don't know what the statistics is, but I have seen cases where people do, they do shout, they do, when they're falling, which is really sad.
Is it possible? I mean, this might sound stupid, but is it possible the socks in his mouth were to prevent him from shivering to the point have his teeth shivering to the point where he breaks his teeth? I don't know.
Mm. So when I looked at this, my initial thought when I read through it was that it wasn't murder. My initial thought was not murder. Um, I think it's strange, but I
Mhm.
don't think that somebody has purposefully murdered him. There doesn't seem to be any like online interaction that the police have found on his computer. I don't know if they
Uh-huh.
ended up getting phone records, but they don't have his phone. Um, there seems not to be any correspondence that they were interested in. So I don't think he went there to meet anybody. I don't think it was a random stranger that just decided to kill him just there and then.
No.
I think it's sort of not Peter, I keep thinking of Peter Bergman. I think that I think Alan had a plan, like you say. I think that he made his mind up in the morning what he was doing that day. I don't know what happened to the blue coat that he was wearing. I'm not sure. They found Alan's trousers and they found his other shoe that was also washed up on the beach. So I think that, I mean, to me, I don't think it was a murder, so that I can rule that one out. It's the difference between the accident and the suicide. If I had to choose anything, reading what I've been reading and from other cases that we've done, I would probably go with suicide myself because
Mhm.
the visiting different places, there's a reason that he visited those different places that day, for whatever reason. But he didn't go straight to Perranporth. He went to, the different places. He went to Newquay, he went to
Mhm.
Truro. So he did actually move around quite a bit. I mean, he wandered around the high street and wandered around the town centre for like half an hour with no, from the CCTV they can see him. There must have been a
Yeah.
reason why he was there. What was he waiting for? So there's a reason why he went to that specific town over another one, say. Um, and then it got me thinking along the same sort of lines as the Peter Bergman case, that I wonder if he was taking stuff somewhere or he was going to see something for the last time that meant something to him. So there was reasons that he went to those
Mm.
places. Not everybody leaves a suicide note when they commit suicide,
No. No, no.
unfortunately. Not everybody does explain why that they're doing that. But looking at Alan's life and looking at the fact that he was quite a recluse. He did have friends, but his family have said he wasn't really in touch with anybody. He was quite a reclusive guy, didn't really have a lot of friends, didn't have work colleagues or anything like that. So, it's a quite a lonely existence, whether or not that's how he chose things or whether that's how his life has just happened to become. He wasn't working, so he didn't really have an income. And like sometimes if you're on your own, you can be your own worst enemy with your mind, can't you? If you've got someone to talk to,
Mhm.
you can talk things out with somebody else and they can help bring another perspective into things. But when you're on your own quite a lot of the time, you've only got yourself to talk to and you've only got your own mind to reason about things. So I wonder if maybe he something had happened and maybe perhaps that's what he thought was the best way for him. The things that confuse me a little bit with this case is the toxicology report, the fact that he was over the limit. So I wonder, alcohol, you can drinking alcohol can, if you're in a state of mind where you're a bit depressed, a bit upset, it can worsen. It can worsen
Yes.
that mood. So I'm wondering whether we don't see him buy any alcohol, but I'm wondering whether, like we said, he's already got it and
Gotcha.
he turns
Yeah.
up there and he gives himself a bit of Dutch courage. It's not unusual for people that are thinking of suicide to then drink to give themselves more brave, to make themselves feel braver.
Mhm.
Um, and so I wonder if maybe he took himself to somewhere. They say that his Perranporth was a childhood place that they spent a lot of time. It had happy memories for him. So I can see why he went back to Perranporth if that's what he was thinking of doing. Um,
Mhm.
and obviously, yes, under the influence of alcohol, perhaps that's what he had in mind. The thing that just confuses me a little bit is the socks and the headphones in his mouth. That confuses me a bit. It also confuses me that he's naked. I understand that clothes can come off in tidal water, but to come off completely over a trainer, because one trainer was still left on his feet. So to for his trousers to completely come off, one trainer was still on, one trainer was off, and his shirt, his coat, and his coat was never found that we know of. That the police don't know that his coat was found. So that's confusing to me too. I find that
Well,
strange.
okay. I have thought. Okay, I'm thinking about this now. Right.
Okay.
So he goes in the water.
Hmm.
It's February.
Yeah.
Water's gonna be cold, very
Yes.
frigid.
Very cold.
Part of one thing about hypothermia is you get to a point where you feel hot, right?
Okay.
So what if he's taking off his coat? What if he actually does have like the ankle weights? He takes those off as well when he's in water because the fall doesn't kill him, obviously, right?
No, it
Because he
doesn't.
actually
No, he's still
drowns.
awake in the water. Yeah. Yeah.
So he's alive in the water. He starts to go through hypothermia. He starts to his teeth start to chatter. That's why he puts the socks in his mouth. I don't know about the headphones or the
Mm,
earbuds, whatever.
yeah.
So the socks go in his mouth to keep him from chattering. I don't know, but
Yeah, but I mean, if he's
and
gonna
then
if he's
it's
gonna take off the weights and get rid of them because he's sort of obviously he's in the water and he's coming, obviously he's alive, and then he's like
yeah,
changed his mind and is like, okay, I'm taking the weights off. I'm taking, because I've changed because it's even though you're committing suicide, I understand from reading into this that you you can if it you get say like you got into the water like this. There could be a point where your natural instinct is to fight because
uh-huh.
your body, it's just your body's natural instinct is to fight this. And so I'm wondering, like you say, if he's in the water and he's alive, it's not just going to close his eyes and just let himself go. It's
Yeah.
freezing and he's
Mhm.
fallen and he's a bit intoxicated. And is he now then going, shit, what have I done? Rips off
Yeah.
the weights, which is why they don't find them, because as far as I know, they didn't dredge the sea. So he rips off the
Yeah.
weights and obviously they then sink.
Yeah.
Now he's left with, I don't understand the socks in the
And
mouth. I just don't get that.
yeah, but you said he had one shoe on, right, when
He
he was
did, yeah,
found
one trainer on. Yeah.
with a sock, but he's so one shoe was off.
Yeah.
They never found that shoe.
No.
I
Oh, they
think
did
that
no, they
shoe
did
he
find the
t
shoe. Yeah, they did find the
they
shoe.
did.
On
Where'd
the
they find the
beach.
shoe?
Yeah, on the beach. It was washed up on the beach. His trousers, the shoe, and the rucksack was all washed up on the beach, but no
Okay.
coat.
So the shoe went into the water with him.
Yeah, must have done.
He took the shoe off in the water. He took the sock off in the water.
Yeah. So he must have well, unless well,
Bec
yeah, he did obviously didn't have the socks on when
Yeah.
he was in the water because the other trainer was still on.
Well, yeah, he went into the water with both socks on, both shoes on.
Do you think?
He took I think so,
But then why
absolutely.
would he take one shoe off and then put it back on again?
Why would he kill himself? Why would he jump in the water? We don't know.
Ah, yeah, but I can't see him taking a trainer off to put his socks in his mouth and then putting the trainer back on, you know?
No, 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 I'm not saying he put the trainer back on.
Yeah, but one shoe was left on.
Yeah, he didn't take that one off. He took one shoe off, one sock off.
Yeah, but he had socks. So two socks in his mouth. Balled
What?
it, they were in his
Uh,
mouth. Yeah, it was a pair of socks
oh
in
my
his
god, how
mouth.
did I miss that? So he had 2
Yeah, so it's like a pair of socks balled up in his mouth. So he
wait,
had a
wait, wait.
pair of socks in his mouth.
So did did the foot that had the shoe on, did it also have a sock on
I
or
don't
no?
know. They didn't say. I'm not sure. They just said that there was a
What?
trainer on the shoe.
Okay.
Unless he brought the socks with him for whatever reason. If he was planning to muffle the sounds of him falling, perhaps that's what he tried. But I would have thought
That's
your
so
first
weird.
instinct, if you were awake in the water and you've jammed stuff in your mouth, I would have thought your first instinct would be to get it out.
Out of your
So
mouth.
I would have thought
Yeah.
your sock would have come out first before you then. So you should be like, so you can breathe. It's just, that's what I mean. It's just so weird. And I
I
feel for
don't think
his
it changes.
family.
I do too. It doesn't change my opinion. I think
No, I think
he
I think
committed
he tried to commit
suicide.
suicide. Yeah. I just don't think it worked out the way he was planning. I don't think it was as instant as maybe he planned. But I mean, like for his family, I know that his brother said that he was a very intelligent man. He didn't have a big circle of friends. He was a brilliant uncle. He enjoyed surfing. He could swim really well. He said that they would really like to know what happened to Alan. They would, they understand that if there is any foul play, I don't know, they didn't say what they thought themselves had happened, but they just want to know. They think it's a really sad set of accounts that's happened,
Mhm.
but they just want to know for sure what happened to him. It's just,
Yeah,
I think only Alan knows.
I agree.
I think only Alan knows what happened.
And why it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that's
Sad.
really sad. It's really sad to think of, actually this man was really thought highly of. His friends and his family say nothing but good stuff about him. And for him to feel like he had no other way out, or that's what he chose for himself, it's sad now to see what they've lost him,
Yeah.
and that actually he was very highly thought of. I feel for them. I think it's a really sad thing to have to deal with.
Extremely.
And this
You're
has
right.
just got me again, just like the Peter Bergman did, because that's another one that I haven't forgotten. And I know people say, oh, you should leave it alone because that's what he wanted. You respect his
Yeah.
wishes. But yeah, sad, isn't it? So that's, yeah,
Very
this week's
sad.
case for you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You are very welcome. Oh, I need to just mention to you, we had a message last week on our Crimepedia. I think it was either on yours or mine. Um,
hmm
about we were talking about the gun in last week's episode, and we were saying about the silencer on the gun. And she said, I got a
Oh,
message. We
yeah.
said obviously he was up to no good because he had a silencer on his gun, and like who has a
hmm
silencer on their gun? And we talked about it and we weren't sure. So it's Marie, I think it is. Cam Marie, yeah. So it was Cam Marie that messaged me, and she said, I love this episode, but there are a few things as to why someone isn't doing nefarious deeds to own a suppressor. And she sent me this link of 5 reasons why you would have a suppressor or a silencer on your gun. And she said
Yeah.
that it can prevent hearing loss. It can also help with training to properly use a weapon. It can stop problems with your neighbors because you can shoot in your backyard and no one is going to get mad with you. And she said, I hope this isn't bad. I don't want to upset you, but just thought I'd let you know. And I said, like, no, that's amazing, because obviously Morgan and I both don't own guns. We don't have guns regularly in our everyday life. So actually that's really
Yeah.
helpful. So thank you
It
very
is.
much for that. And if there is anything ever that you hear us talking about and you think, no, this is why, then just send us a message, because it's quite interesting to
Yeah.
find out, because we both didn't know that. So I've learned something new this week.
It's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Well, with that, how about we finish this episode with a little dumb criminal?
Hey, Captain Stupid Poopy Pants. Use a dummy.
Thank you,
Oh,
Captain.
thank you.
So, Cherry, I think most normal people
Hmm.
would realize that there are certain things that you don't do in public, right?
Yes, definitely.
One of those things is having adult relations
No, you don't
in
do that in
public,
public. No.
right?
Okay.
Well, for one man in Bellevue, Ohio, he didn't get this message.
Oh dear.
But what makes this story stranger is not about who he was having sex with, but what he was having sex with.
What? Not a who. Oh no.
Correct.
Okay.
So, police in Bellevue, Ohio say that a man was caught having sex with a picnic table.
Oh, I wasn't expecting you to say that. A picnic table.
Yes. So the Bellevue police captain says that a man, his name was Art Price Jr., at the time he was 40 years old, was seen on 4 different occasions between the hours of 10:30 a.m. and noon having sex with his picnic table.
That's crazy.
Now, this was actually a felony because it took place within close proximity to a school,
Oh, no,
which made it
that's bad.
likely that children
Yeah.
could have seen him.
Oh, that's horrible. That's really bad. Why a picnic
Now,
table? You're not going to get a lot of love back from a picnic table, are you? Like,
no, you're not.
It's not gonna hug you or like,
Mm-mm.
kiss you or anything. That's weird.
No. Now, this was reported by a neighbor who stated that they witnessed Price walking out onto his deck, stand on a round metal table on its side, and use the hole in the umbrella
Oh
to have
no.
sex.
Why would you do that? Like, why? You can go indoors. You could watch porn or something. Why would you do that
Exactly.
outside to a picnic table?
I know, right?
That's weird. That's really weird.
Ugh. Now, Price was married at least at the time he was married and had 3 school-aged children. So
No.
obviously, if Price had some needs, he probably could have said, "Hey, Martha,
Yeah, wifey.
let's see if we can make a 4th or something."
Yeah, let's practice. Oh,
So,
oh
yeah.
God, though. Imagine being married to somebody that gets caught having sex at a picnic table. You'd be mortified, wouldn't you? Absolutely
Yeah.
mortified.
Yeah, you
There's so
would.
many other things he could have used.
Yeah.
Like not
And not
outside
outside.
on your decking. It's just crazy.
I don't understand like how that would even be like gratifying at all.
Well, no, because those holes are quite big too, aren't they? Because you've got to fit a whole umbrella in there.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you just take the table inside if you thought about it and thought, oh, okay, I can fit that through there. Why don't I just take it in and
Yeah.
try? It's warm up. Why do it on your decking where everyone can see you? He's got to have been drunk, surely.
Something.
He's got to have been. It's got to have been after a few beers. But it wasn't just
Who-
once, though. You said, didn't you? It was more than once.
4 times.
4
At least 4
times.
times.
Oh
He
my
was seen at
God.
least 4 times.
How many times
But
did he
who
do it
goes-
when no one was there?
I don't know. Like, how many people have gone to a family reunion and said, "Man, that picnic table
Yeah, looking good, baby.
looking good. What's up? Hey,
Oh my
we're not
God.
related, are we?
That's
You're
just
not a cousin or something."
You look just like, the picnic bench at my sister's house.
Hey, yeah. Ooh.
That's crazy. It's a good job like it was smooth though and the edges weren't sharp because that could have caused him some damage.
Oh yeah.
Imagine going to the emergency room and having that conversation. How did
So
you get
what
that stuck
happened?
in there, sir? Well, I just slipped and fell, which is what they always say.
Oh yeah.
That has
Oh
got
my
to be the
God.
craziest dumb criminal you've ever done.
Yeah.
That's mad.
So if you're listening to this in Bellevue, Ohio, say hello to Art Price for us, or don't.
just don't shake his hand or take him near your picnic wares.
Yeah. Keep him away from your tables.
If he invites you to a picnic, don't go. You gotta put your food on that table, people. That's gross.
Oh my God. So bad.
Thank you for that. That's crazy. I don't know how
That's
I'm going to
very
follow
crazy.
that one up next week. Oh, brilliant. So yes, next week our new show starts over on Patreon, our Crimepedia Case Closed. So if you are a patron, you'll have access to that. We're going to be talking about stories and cases that have been closed and we can give you the solution for. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram and all our social media. We love hearing about what you do when you're listening to the show and where you listen to the show.
Hopefully not doing any picnic tables.
Hopefully not. Yeah, that's right. Thanks for telling us. I got lots of messages this week telling us where you listen and how you listen. So that was really cool. And we will be back next week with a brand new show. It'll be Morgan's show next week. So for now, be nice.
And bye.